Sometimes, there just are not enough hours in the day to get through everything you've planned. If you are the type of person that enjoys daily to be hyper-productive, or you have too much on your plate at once, then maybe you could manage to eliminate some sleep. Sleeping replenishes energy though, so you do it anyway, even though it will seriously reduce down your job time. But what if you could only spend 2 hours per day sleeping, leaving a whole lot more time to get through those vital tasks? Today, we're having a peek at the Uberman sleep cycle, and how it is possible to take advantage of this technique to sleep as little as an insane 2 hours each day. Most scientists agree that we need a mean of between 7 and 9 hours a night. Perhaps you receive less than this, and that is okay. Every individual's sleep requirements are different. This is not to say that becoming 7 or even 6 hours per night is a recipe for maximum productivity. Getting that exact amount of sleep every single night is very likely to lead to serious sleep deprivation. After all, imagine what you could get done with an additional 4 to 6 hours of additional time spent awake. It consists of carrying a string of 6 naps through the day, each one lasting only 20 minutes, which adds up to 2 hours of sleep a day. Sounds pretty simple, right? And if you were to stick to this regime and consistently only have 2 hours of sleep, then you might even end up adding roughly 20 years worth of time spent awake to your own lifetime. Well, until you jump into the Uberman lifestyle, there are a few things you should contemplate first. For starters, no one has been able to successfully keep to this particular sleeping program without assistance. If you reside alone, or far away from any of your family and friends, then you may find the Uberman sleep cycle a bit more challenging. This is because one of the recommendations for all those beginning to use this technique is to make use of an individual alarm clock. What's an individual alarm clock? Well, as its name suggests, this entails relying on somebody else to wake up you instead of merely placing a collection of alarms on your phone or computer. This may sound as a bit of a strange favor to ask somebody to do for you, but believe it or not, this was really a full-time profession. At the time before the Industrial Revolution and the creation of real, reliable alert clocks, individual alarm clocks, or knocker-ups as they were known at the moment, could wake up their customers by knocking on their doors first thing in the morning, or even use a lengthy stick with a light on one end when their customer lived over the ground floor in order to reach the chimney. A knocker-up wouldn't leave until they were sure that their customer was awake, and while they may not have been their customer's favorite individuals for forcing them from bed, they were certainly effective, as human beings don't have snooze buttons. Some people who have maintained the Uberman sleep schedule feature this to utilizing friends or family as basic, modern-day individual alarm clocks, even who they entrust with the task of making sure their naps are kept rigorously to 20 minutes. Of course, this means that you'd need whoever you requested to function as a human alarm clock to be 100% reliable, and they would have to be somebody who is present to wake you. But surely it isn't important if you oversleep among your Uberman naps? You can just knock the extra minutes off of the subsequent one, or have your whole 2 hours sleep all at once, right? Another important aspect to remember when placing yourself though that this short burst sleeping pattern is that these naps aren't just guidelines, they're a strict, regimented pattern of sleep which you are likely to have to stick with if you want those extra hours of productivity. The conventional form of the Uberman program consists of just taking 6 naps a day. This should be spread throughout each day of your week at equidistant intervals, meaning they have to be evenly spaced out, last the same quantity of time, with the equal length period of awakeness between each nap. If you are planning to stick with the 20-minute long nap model, you would need to have 20 minutes of sleep, 6 times every day, which means you'll need to have a rest once every 4 hours. Instead, in the event that you wish to try out the 8-nap program, giving you a total of 2 hours and 40 minutes of sleep per day, you would still have to keep your naps to 20 minutes in length, but take them every 3 hours. However, is it worthwhile? Which are the possible health risks of following a regimen such as this, and is it even a practical routine to follow? Researchers have researched the potential dangers of the Uberman sleep cycle, as well as additional similar patterns of sleep, and they certainly pose the chance of severe sleep deprivation. This isn't just a case of feeling a little tired. In some cases, intense sleep deprivation may have similar effects to drinking too much alcohol. Some may experience tremors in their hands or see their eyelids becoming thick and drooping more than normal. In addition, if you suffer from epilepsy, sleep deprivation may cause you to be at greater danger of having acute seizures. However, you might get lucky and discover that the Uberman schedule works for you personally, and doesn't result in severe sleep deprivation. Some of those who stick with this regular, suitably called Uberman, also have noted they feel more energetic, and of course that comes in handy with so much extra time to get things done in. However, There's something else that's worth remembering. If you are considering taking up the Uberman sleep schedule, you might be looking to the benefits and dangers, seeking to find out the advantages and disadvantages of the method. During your hunts, you might find that scientists have not found much in the manner of long-term health risks for those who follow this particular technique. Great, therefore it must be safe, right? We hate to burst your bubble, but this isn't quite the situation. The reason scientists have not been able to collect much info on the Uberman program's long-term consequences is only because people do not usually adhere to it for long enough. Most rapid contemporary lifestyles do not allow enough time for you to stop having an uninterrupted 20-minute rest every 4 hours. Imagine you are at work. The majority of individuals are in work from 9 o'clock in the afternoon to 5 o'clock in the night. If you are at work for so long every weekday, then that is 8 hours, with possibly a half-hour break for lunch at between, if you are lucky. This everyday structure makes it incredibly difficult to take 20-minute Uberman naps during a while when you're supposed to be functioning, and there likely are not many managers who are happy if they came to nap at your desk. With that said, if your work involves a lot of working in the home, for example, say, a freelance artist, or a writer for the infographics show, then maybe you'd have the ability to equilibrium your sleeping longer evenly with your own work. Thus, with that in mind, taking into consideration that the possible side effects of this Uberman schedule and assessing just how compatible it is with your individual way of life, it's time to get yourself ready. You may think that a new sleep routine is something you could start tomorrow, but jumping from one sleep program to a radically different one is going to be quite a jolt into the system. Your system needs to acclimate, and you start this process by spending between 24 and 36 hours awake. This might seem excessive even to someone seeking to stay awake for longer, but what you are actually waiting for is that second wind, the abrupt increase in energy you buy after being awake for so long. When this occurs, you then must begin taking naps every 1.5 to 2 hours. This procedure, ironically, doesn't prepare you immediately, and you will not be ready to begin abiding by the Uberman schedule just yet. You may find that your prep lasts for 2 to 4 times, until you're having routine REM naps, or till you discover that you're no longer feeling sleep deprived. What is that? REM stands for rapid eye movement, which is a phase of sleep. As its name implies, your eyes move at rapid rates under your eyelids in various directions. This point is much more akin to fully practicing the Uberman schedule. Begin taking naps each 4 or 3 hours frequently. Do this over the hour, at the very dot, at whatever pattern suits you best. You can, of course, forget the very first phase of the adaptation, but you will run the risk of entering what's known as zombie mode. No, you won't just start craving brains, but you may endure a temporary disability for your cognitive capabilities. Making sure you start with the very first stage will help relieve some of these indications, and it's also worth remembering that an 8-nap schedule will potentially be harsh on your mind than a 6-nap schedule. After zombie mode, keep up this cycle of resting since your sleep cycles begin to repartition. It can take between 3 weeks per month to fully adapt to the Uberman program, after which point your body will always keep adapting to the new pattern of sleep, but you ought to have the ability to encourage this the longer you continue to it. It will take some time for the old sleeping habits to deteriorate, but as an Uberman you ought to begin to feel awake and energized for around 22 hours each day. This won't be the same for everyone, however, but this is only because we mentioned earlier, everybody's sleeping habits and cycles are different, and thus don't feel bad if your Uberman buddies are taking for this new pattern of sleep a great deal quicker than you are. Recall, only about 5% of people of the planet have the ability to get by on a 6-hour night of sleep, so if you discover yourself taking a bit more time to adapt to the Uberman way of sleeping, then do not worry. You may be working against years of ingrained sleeping habits, so if at first you find you are with a lot of issues with this new procedure of brief, regular naps, it may be worth reconsidering if the Uberman sleep schedule is really right for you. Protracted sleep syndrome has also been associated with higher blood pressure and neurological conditions like dementia later in life, so maybe for most people it's just not worth the risk. After all, you are probably going to just spend the additional hours watching videos from the Get Value Daily, anyhow. We hope you are learning something new every day from our videos. If you want us to cover a specific topic, let us know in the comments section below. We are doing our bit to spread awareness about the common health conditions and exciting topics. Do your part by sharing this video with your friends and social circle. Thank you. Get value by subscribing our Get Value channel. Thank you.